Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of StarSound Speaks. This is your host, Irlianna Samsara, on this holiday weekend from StarSoundastrology.com. So today we're going to talk about the sun in Sag. Now, it has been there for a few days. Pardon me, but we did have Thanksgiving. And but anyway, Sag season, always the season of faith, joy, hope, optimism, right? Jupiter, we're in Jupiter's house. The sun's in Jupiter's house. So that's all about those things. Jupiter being the greater benefic, right? The bestower of good fortune and jovial optimism, right? The word jovial comes from Jove, right? The Roman god of the name for Jupiter was Jove. And so Jupiter's day, Jove day, jeudi in French, Jovedi in Italian, right? Jove's day was Thursday. So is Thursday. So all of these connections with Jupiter. But anyway, the thing that I wanted to talk about today, just to touch on a couple of things. One is, of course, we are in the middle of our eclipse season. And if things have felt like kind of wonky, obviously it's always the case in an eclipse season. This eclipse, we'll be talking about that in our next episode about the new moon solar eclipse. It's a total solar eclipse on Saturday, December 4th. It's going to be great. It's our final eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. And so until the next 9 years from now, where it will be the North Node, and 18 years from now, it'll be back at the South Node. So there's all this entrance and departure going on in the month of, and these next couple of months, pretty intense changes, but we'll be walking you through it all. We do have that solar eclipse happening, but what I want to talk to you about today is the sun making two aspects, and it's going to sextile, which is a favorable aspect or an easy aspect. I will say has the qualities of Venus. So there's an ease aspect with the sun, and first with Saturn in Aquarius, and then it will be with Jupiter. So a sextile in astrology and geometrically, mathematically, it's 60 degrees apart on the wheel of 360 degrees. So that indicates there's some things I want to talk about with that, with COVID, because obviously, yesterday was this big news about this new COVID variant, which is like the next chapter, right? It's like, oh my God, I know we're all wondering, okay, is this ever going to end? And the narrative mutates as well as the and all of the various the different aspects of this. It just keeps moving and shifting as it is a reflection of consciousness. But I want to talk more about that. So, but before I do, I just want to say that Mercury is going to do another Cazimi. Remember last time that magical window, and it was October 9th. And the next one is on Monday, tomorrow, Sunday, November 28th, from 5:51 in the morning until around midnight so it's really all day tomorrow, Sunday. It'll actually technically go out at 12:21 Monday morning. This is all Eastern Standard Time, so adjust your time schedules accordingly. But the Cazimi is a very interesting moment. And for those of you who might need a refresher or have never heard of this, when a planet conjuncts the sun, it's called under the beams of the sun. That's what we call it in ancient astrology. And so it kind of loses itself because it's like being overcome by the magnificence of the sun and the power and the intensity of this divine light, right? So we kind of like lose ourselves, and then when we leave that window, then we gain ourselves, but having had this incredible download of wisdom and like things not of this, like this supernal kind of information and understanding comes to us. So when Mercury is in that position, it's like, I'll do it because it's the Christmas season. I'll say it's like sitting on Santa Claus's lap. Okay. It's like, can you imagine, like, you've forgotten yourself, you're in the presence of this great man, and he's saying, okay, little kitty, what do you want for Christmas? And you're like, wow, like you get to talk in a way and be heard and listened to. Speaking and listening are very enhanced and indifferent, I would think, unless you're like some cynical kid, but we're not going to talk about that. So this opportunity when Mercury is Cazimi is when we get these outrageous divine insights and understandings. However, this time it's a little different. Why is that? Because Mercury is in the sign of Sagittarius right now. When it's in the sign of Sagittarius, it's considered in its, quote, detriment. Okay, so that does sound like a heavy kind of thing. But we're going to untangle this. Mercury in its yes, it's not in its best place. Remember, Mercury is ruled by Gemini, Virgo and Gemini, right? That's its neighborhood. It likes that kind of, that domain. But when it's in Sag, that's the opposite sign to Gemini, right? So this is like not an easy place for Mercury. Likes to be rational and logical. So when he's in the sign in Sag, it's really hard to be rational and logical in a sign that's really calling forth very high divine wisdom, which is not logical. You know, it's based on faith and based on, you know, what is, they say, faith is the evidence of things unseen, right? So that's not an easy place for Mercury. So if Mercury is Cazimi, which it will be exactly tomorrow, think about it like this. It's about coming from a place of letting go. The long story short, this is a magical window. We can let go of our logical mind and our craving to have to know information and gobbling up information and logic and calculations and data, you know, like some people's minds, and, you know, our mind in general is like, right, that never ending. Well, this is where we can get a download and we can use our mind to suspend the logic and look at everything in a place of higher wisdom. And so beyond like 3D facts, beyond the rational logical mind. And so that's like about a 6 a.m., roughly 6 a.m. to midnight. You know, that's a long time. That's what, how many hours is that? 18 hours, you know, of that download. So I think about COVID, you know, we just got this news about this new variant and Omicron or whatever. It just sounds so weird. It just sounds like some really cheesy, like third-rate horror movie. Omicron, son of Zot, whatever, son of Thor, bride of Frankenstein. It's beginning to, it seems like as soon as one narrative is over, something else comes up. So has me wonder. But where I wonder, honestly, is, okay, what if, here's an example of Mercury Cazimi, what if we don't come from the rational logical, that we are just these people on earth being subject to this virus, and well, you're going to get it, you're going to be sick, you're going to take this medicine, you're not going to, you know, you're going to be well, you're not going to be well. That's all very 3D. What if we came from, well, okay, we're divine beings, and as my spiritual teacher used to say, you know, this is your movie. You know, so how do we want this to roll? We're in Jupiter's house. What's Jupiter? You know, God, like the God within us, that divine spark within us. We get to say how it goes. So, okay, there's this narrative, but is that really our reality? I personally think that COVID really, what it spiritually points to is this lack of connection with nature. And we saw that when the dolphins started swimming through the canals in Venice, you know, 2 weeks or days or something after quarantine. So there's something to be said about the natural world and our connection or lack of connection with it. And I think that's what's really being, but the universe is screaming out to us, you know, and it's like using this pandemic to say, hey, you know, wake up. And it's really us in charge. It's not like somebody out there or some governing body of medical experts on whatever side, you know, whatever side you're on. It's really not them. It's not about projecting from the outside. So how do we want to roll? Do you want to live from a higher level? You know, so tomorrow in the Cazimi is a good time to meditate and really get these insights and reconnect. This is a great, see, to me, it's like, hey, you know, Mercury and Sag, yeah, in detriment for the 3D world, but in but it's actually pretty cool. It becomes very cosmic. You know, you can do great things with Mercury and Sag, just like Mars and Cancer. You know, Michael Phelps won 28 Olympic medals with Mars in an apparently detrimental place. So it all depends on what you do with it. So what's being asked of us here is to suspend that logical mind and say, you know, that divine being, that divine reality is as very real as the logical. So let's make sure we blend and integrate that, and let's, you know, step into that reality, try that one on. And what if we walked in the world as that? So that's what I wanted to say about Mercury Cazimi. And the only other thing is the sextile with Saturn. Yes, you can see it. Mercury, the sun is making an exact sextile with Saturn. Boom, right? More restrictions. Saturn in its home sign of Aquarius, it's all about lockdown, quarantine, restriction, right? The very minute it stepped into zero Aquarius in 2020 was when we had the lockdown, and the term social distancing came up. So did face masks, right? All this limitation, right? So here it is resurfacing again. And then on that'll be very tight for the next several days through December 1st. It will start to decline after December 1st, the influence of that. And then the sun will come into that sextile with Jupiter by December through December 16th. It will be exactly in that sextile. So you know, could we see, is there an exacerbation of this, of possible maybe lockdowns or some of limitations, or maybe more limitation coming? Yeah, very clearly. You know, it's like, let's not be silly here. But who are we going to be around that? What part of us needs to shut down? You know, what maybe the logical mind needs to shut down for that 18-hour period tomorrow would be a great time to really delve into that world. Jupiter rules prophecy, you know, so the prophetic mind. This is a great time to do future life progression. Never thought of that one? Well, okay, we know past life regression, but what about future life progression? What do we do with this sacred time, this time we have? The clock is ticking, the sun is burning sunlight. You know, what are we doing? What's going to count? What place of higher wisdom can we come from to really, you know, turn this thing around? Because as we shift our consciousness, we're going to see it out there. That's really what it's going to take to shift COVID. It's a shift in consciousness, not in like how many medicines can be delivered or how many vitamin C's can we take, or, you know. So we want to look big and think about the prophetic gifts, the telepathic gifts, right? Mercury and Sag would be a great time for exercising our telepathic abilities, which are very hidden in us. Sometimes they surface in moments of crisis, typically or usually. But we have that knowingness inside, or some insight that flashes through our mind. But we can cultivate this with practice. We can cultivate these incredible divine abilities that each of us has. Some of us have it easier than others. Well, so you, like, some people are born with, and they grow up with big muscles and they don't have to go to the gym, and other people have to work at it. Well, so what, you know, so work at it. But we all have the ability. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to say today. And I would say too that, so have fun with that Mercury Cazimi. You know, that chatty mind of us gets to sit on Santa's lap. So wow, right? Feel that little plushy red velvet, you know, give him a hug, he'll give you a hug, and you know, we'll come away enlightened and inspired, and then the ability to inspire others too. So share that inspiration, share that with others, you know, be confident and joyful, and share that knowledge, and help uplift others to be confident and joyful in the face of this kind of bummer news out there about the COVID, right? And to rewrite that narrative. So keep on inspiring. Let's just keep on inspiring each other. That's what I have to say about the Sun and Sag season. It's always about, Sag is always about limitless joy and opportunity and abundance and expansion of consciousness and expansion of occult and higher wisdom coming down to the earth. So let's just go play with it and we'll see where it goes. Jupiter, and that later in the month, it'll be when the sun is in Capricorn, but Jupiter's going to go into its ruling sign of Pisces at the end of the month, at the end of December. We'll of course talk more about that. Yeah, let's just keep coming from that place of like there are no limits. If you ever know a Sag, you know, they're not held by limits, right? You know, the archer, why is the archer, the Sagittarian, the centaur with the archer and the bow and arrow, right? Shooting to the heavens, right? Don't worry about anything, just shoot for the sky. So that's my little talk today about Sagittarius season. So anyway, I hope you have fun with that, and we will be back very soon. S.J. Anderson is coming back, yay! And I think it might even be the next episode. We're going to talk about the solar eclipse and all kinds of cool stuff. We'll just riff and just go all over and have a blast. So I hope you can join us for that one. Okay, my dears, big love. Oh, by the way, hey, in honor of the eclipse season, 20% off sessions. Woot woot! Just holler at me and I'll give you that a code. It's what is it? Eclipse 20. If you go to StarSoundAstrology.com and you put in sign up for whatever choice you want, different astro sessions, and then put on there Eclipse 20, and it will take off 20%. So yay, see, jovial, optimistic, abundance, right? There is plenty for all of us. So, all right, that's all for now. Mwah! And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. This is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundAstrology.com. Thank you all for listening.